Hello and welcome to Daily Politics, reaching you from Trust TV here in Abuja. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. I am Suleiman. Today, we are looking at the official designation of bandits as terrorists by the federal government. This was first declared by an Abuja High Court and was last week gazetted by the federal government. Banditry of some kind has a long history in northern Nigeria. But in recent years, bandits have taken on the state through mindless and provocative assaults on ordinary citizens. They have kidnapped, raped, killed, and even burned people alive in many states of northern Nigeria. They have imposed ransoms, taxes, and levies on citizens and communities alike. In fact, they have cordoned off an entire part of the country and turned it into an enclave of their criminality. For a major part of this reign of terror, federal response was quite slow, even as critics accused the government of treating bandits with kid gloves. However, in the last 1 month or so, the federal government has ramped up its approach in two forms. There have been more military bombardments, and now the official gazette declaring bandits as terrorists. This is contained in the official gazette in volume 108 of the official gazette. And today we're looking at all of these issues. Where do we go from here? Dr. Murtala Ahmad Rufai has given us a lot of insight into the origins and motivation of bandits in a book titled, I Am a Bandit. But well, should it now be I Am a Terrorist? And if it is, what are the implications of that? What does that change? Does their identification as terrorist change the situation? What are the legal implications of that? And how much would that change the campaign against banditry and now, if you like, terrorism in the Northwest? With me to discuss all of these issues tonight are Mr. T.G. Omeje, a security consultant and security analyst and publisher of the Security Digest. Also with me is the one Nigeria who was reported from the front line of banditry in Nigeria more than any other, Malan Abdulaziz of Daily Trust. You're most welcome.
Thank you, sir.
But also with me from Jos via Zoom is Barrister Lawal Ishaq, who has more than 25 years of experience dealing with issues around law and security in Nigeria. Barrister, you're also welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, but before we proceed, we'll take 1 minute and we'll take a break for just a minute, and then we'll return. Welcome back. We will just jump into the discussion proper because there's a lot to talk about. Maybe for the benefit of our guests, and I'm sure our viewers are already aware, usually I start from my left, and I'm from my right, and then end with my left. Maila Abdulaziz, as I was saying, no one in Nigeria, no journalist in this country has followed these issues more intimately than yourself. No one has reported story after story, and I mean groundbreaking story after groundbreaking story than yourself. Now, how have we got to this stage? From, castle rustling to banditry, and now we are talking about a full-blown terrorism. How have we got to this point? In a nutshell,
of course. Thank you very much. Of course, in a nutshell, because it's actually a long history. Yeah. But in summary, we'll say that these issues have a number of distant and immediate causes. Okay. First, of course, we know that, let me first talk about the area of the epicenter of this crisis, the Zamfara area. This is a place that for generations, for many years, has witnessed influx of criminals is actually like...
From where?
Actually a den that a lot of outlaws from as far as Niger, of course they are neighbors, even from before colonial time, Nigerians who had committed one crime or another, or people from the old Katsina and from the I mean, when I say old Katsina, that is the Katsina Empire,
areas in Nigeria.
And then of course Sokoto had for years migrated to these areas to run from justice and also to hide their criminal activities. And also with the colonialists, we've also witnessed a number of such migration to these areas by outlaws from Niger who ran away from the very iron-fisted French colonial rule in Niger. So that is why now, if you go to this area, I mean places like Shinkapi, Anka, Maru, and other places in Zamfara State that are epicenter of this violence, you see there are people of Katsina origin, of Tuaregs origin, of Kanuri.
But for many Nigerians following these issues, what they know is that these are Fulani bandits, period. They don't know all of these details.
And that is why we're here, because a lot of this, there is knowledge gap. And I think it is only proper to put things in proper perspectives. So that is just a tip. I'm just saying that to say that there have been, as you said in your introduction, banditry in some forms have been ongoing for many years. But now, has it come to where it is today? Now that is to answer more directly the question. There have been, of course, years of neglect of the rural areas. And when I talk about neglect, it's not only about social amenities, no, but also neglect in terms of governance. There is a vacuum. For many years, there have been vacuum of leadership that so many vast, thrashes of land is almost like a no man's land in which like nobody knows who are here, what are they doing, what things are happening, and all that. Then, secondly, there is also the issue of social justice. For a long time, there have been a lot of cases of repression, injustice, which, for example, and that is why, if you remember, in the 70s, with the Second Republic, the PRP administration in the old Katsina, in the old Kaduna and Kano states, one of the first actions they took on being sworn in was to abolish the jangali, that is the poll tax, which was a major way of exploitation by the local leaders, especially traditional leaders, on villages largely pastoralists. Then number three, there is also collapse of local administration. This second one that I mentioned, despite the corruption, despite the the repression, there is also some semblance of authority, in the sense that somebody knows what is happening here.
But Mr. Chidi, you have ungoverned spaces, as you said, or lack of governance in a particular. To what extent does that necessarily lead to terrorism? Because Africa is the most ungoverned space on the planet. Most parts of Africa are generally ungoverned, particularly rural areas. But there have not been banditry or terrorism in these areas. But of course, in Nigeria, you have many places where there's been lack of governance, and then you have had security tensions or even terrorism. To what extent can we say that ungoverned spaces would automatically lead to the kind of criminality that we see in the Northwest?
Okay, I think ungoverned spaces, like you mentioned, is just an extension of the chains of problems we have. Listen to what Abdulaziz have mentioned. They have given us some kind of background. You've seen factors, you've seen historical factors that have led to these things that we're having now. Now, you see, you talked about ungoverned spaces. It's a big factor because we are talking about vast area, vast forests, vast expanse of land that are not managed by government. That in fact, you don't have civilization there, you don't have governance there, you don't have policing there, you don't have military presence there, you don't have normal human, administration there. So it's like a Hobetian area. People do whatever they want there. So it's like a big bowl. People, all manner of characters assembling there to live there, to unleash mayhem to the other to the society. So ungoverned spaces are not supposed to be part of a modern society. You know why I say that? Because you are confronted with contemporary security challenges that are very multifaceted. Now, if you have ungoverned spaces, you are giving them it's like a breeding ground for all manner of characters to unleash their venom on society. So I think that time has come for us to think about what to do with ungoverned spaces, because it has already been a recurring decimal in our discussion about security in terms of how do we contain these security challenges. Now,
thank you. These are very interesting dimensions. The historical
yes.
Roots of the causes,
Yeah.
and the fact that in Nigeria we have to do something about the dimension.
Yes.
But I also wanted to, I'm sorry to cut you.
That's right.
Yes.
But to explain the immediate factors, because those were like the distant, historical perspective.
I will come back to you on that, definitely. Okay. I wanted to have Barrister Lawal. Are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, thank you. The federal government says it has declared banditry as terrorism, and therefore all bandits are now officially designated as terrorists. But the process to which the government followed to even arrive at that is interesting in its own right. From a legal perspective, can you shed some light on that? Because shouldn't the government just wake up one morning and say, okay, these people are terrorists, and that's all?
In fact, I find it very funny that the government has to follow a process in which to declare some bandits as terrorists. These are criminals. That is simplicity. So I don't know why the government needs to follow any process again, to go through the courts, getting pronouncement from the court, then issuing a gazette calling them as terrorists. As far as I'm concerned, a terrorist, a bandit, a kidnapper, or whatever you decide to call it, is a criminal, a common criminal that's supposed to be treated according to the laws of the land. If you look at, we have ample laws in Nigeria that can take care of all those kind of criminalities that are going around in the name of banditry or kidnapping or whatever you may decide to call it. For instance, if you take the penal court, which has been operating in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria for quite some time, there are provisions for all those kind of criminal activities that have been there. But unfortunately, we like playing with words. We like, politicizing.
Barrister, are you saying that there is no significance of any kind by the government describing the bandits or designating them officially as terrorists? Are you saying that from a legal point of view, it doesn't change anything?
It doesn't change anything. If, for instance, security operatives, meet a bandit, and that bandit often fire on them, are they going to start looking for his legs to shoot or his hand to shoot because he's a bandit, not a terrorist? These are common knowledge. These are common things that we should know. We don't need any designation, any law or any pronouncement from the court to designate them as criminals. They are criminals and they should be treated like criminals. That's what the law says. There is no need for,
it looks like the guests in the studio have reacted, to that. Abdulaziz, what do you think?
Yeah, actually, I really appreciate this opinion coming from the lawyer, because this is something, of course, as you said, I cover this a lot. And when the first court declaration was made, I spoke to some experts who expressed similar view. And this is actually the reality of the matter. I think the issue is that we put too much politics into almost everything in this country, and that is the bane of so many of our developmental issues. It's just like, I'm sorry to digress a bit, it's just like the issue of terrorist financiers. You will think as if it is some maybe
big-time politicians.
Yes, or not even big time. Yeah, you think it's like somebody that is seen or caught some big-time person living somewhere, giving money directly to terrorists. So, you know, by the time you politicize something, you create a hype. It just raises on a hope of people unnecessarily. Because, for example, now people think that this declaration of bandits as terrorists will mean anything. Because, like some of our colleagues in the media, you know, one particular newspaper, for example, was continuously harping on gazetting this and that, jet. There was nothing that was not being used on these people before this declaration. So now it has given people some false hope to think that maybe with this declaration there will be some change. I don't see anything happening.
Thank you. Mr. Chidi, you also have an opinion. Maybe you disagree. We value disagreement.
Yeah, somehow I look, I understand the desperation. I understand that people want this. Look, don't forget that even the governor of Kaduna State at the point said, why can't we carpet bomb these people? He said, these are just people trying to be human beings, trying to react naturally to this kind of horrible situation. But look, we are a country governed by laws. And we're a country that operates within international laws too. Let me tell you, you just procured.
So what's the point?
The point I'm trying to raise is that, look, yes, much as we try to say, why do we even have to waste time designating them? Why don't we? Look, there are standards, there are methods, there are steps. We also have what we call bilateral relationship with other countries. And if they're going to sell certain things to you, they will tell you that before you use it, you have to use it to a designated set of people. And if you do not go through that legal processes of designating them appropriately as terrorists, if you use the equipment you bought on them, which they are not supposed to use on people who are not bandits, you are, more or less putting wedge to future transactions with them. So the point I'm trying to raise is that, look, it is important that we have to go through this thing, even though it could be frustrating, it could be annoying to an extent. I've seen these are horrible human beings dealing with our people in a way.
The federal government followed the same process in declaring bandits as terrorists, the same process that it followed in declaring IPOB, for example.
That's right.
And Sunday Igboho in the southwest.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrorist.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they still don't get called terrorists. What's happening there?
Okay, I think I like this. It's a bit interesting because, yes, one might begin to say, oh, how come it was easy for the federal government to declare IPOB terrorists and all that and dilly-dallying on this matter? Yes. Probably because IPOB, in their own in the estimation of the government, is striking at the heart of the sovereignty of the country. I don't know if I get it right, but probably they consider IPOB a much more threat to national security than bandits, but that's the estimation. That's not the estimation of average Northerner, or average person in Zamfara or in Sokoto,
who is concerned about the security of his own life.
Exactly. Yes. So look, I understand Barrister well, and I understand my brother here well when they say all these legal niceties are not important, but you have to. We are a nation governed by laws. So back to your question, this last question, I find it difficult to reconcile the fact that it's the same government that was very, very express in declaring IPOB terrorist group that is dilly-dallying in this matter. That's exactly why most Nigerians are, at loss at what's happening.
Hello and welcome to Daily Politics, reaching you live from Trust TV here in Abuja. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, Policy and Governance. I am Shafiu Suleiman. Today, we have our eyes on the Aso Rock. In less than 24 hours, two members of the All Progressives Congress, APC, have declared their ambition to run for the presidency of Nigeria. When news broke out yesterday that Jagaba Bola Ahmed Tinubu has declared for 2023, many who are familiar with the goings-on were not surprised. It is the case of the kingmaker who now wants the throne for himself. Also, earlier today, the governor of Ebonyi State, Engineer David Umahi, has also entered the race. But amidst all of this, declarations by members of the APC, the party is still battling over its national convention that will produce a proper leadership structure. While some members want it postponed, others say it should hold as scheduled next month. The internal wranglings notwithstanding, over 7 members of the party have declared interest in the national chairmanship of the party. Today, we have brought 2 of them on the program as we begin our series on the battle for the APC party structures. As the race heads for the finish line, we ask, is the APC ready for 2023, given that it is a house divided against itself? What are the aspirants offering? My guests on the program tonight are Mr. Soni Sylvester Munidafe, a former ACN chairman in the FCT and currently a board member in the FCT Secondary Education Board. He is also the Jagaba of Jamaica. Also joining us for the program this evening is Malam Muhammad Etsu Saidu. As 36, Malam Muhammad is the youngest aspirant in this field, which has been treated as an exclusive preserve of the elderly. But now he is there bearing the torch of the young people. Welcome both of you to the program.
Thanks for having us.
Let me take a minute break, before the conversation commences. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Daily Politics. Let's now get into the discussion proper. Let me start with you, Mr. Sylvester Munidafe. The APC, some would say, is currently at a crossroad, looking at the multiple challenges the party is facing, from internal wranglings arising from the congresses to the politics around the convention scheduled for February, to the emergence of various gladiators eyeing the #1 seat. And of course, one critical challenge again, looking at where the seats will go to in terms of zoning of who gets what in terms of the 2023 elections. These are fundamental challenges that await APC at the moment. As a critical stakeholder, how are you looking at all of this? Let's start from there.
Well, thanks for having me. Good evening, Abuja, Nigeria, and the rest of the world. Having such issues is not new to the APC, because I remember when we were registered by default in 2013. There was a month's notice given, and the law says if you don't prevent the registration, automatically the party stands registered. It came into being, and people did not expect us to overcome all the challenges that we overcame. These challenges should be overcome. Now, luckily for the APC, there's no problem between the aspirants. None at all. None, at least about 11 of us, 9, 10, on the 16th of December, during the APC press corps summit that was organized, kind of a manifest tonight. We were all laughing and joking. So we don't have any problems with aspirants. Now, as per the people that are as presumed to be having an issue, the governors, it's just a storm in a teacup. Then they sit down and talk. The APC has the abilities to resolve problems. It will be resolved. And I have to assure you that the convention will hold in February. It's looking as if 5th will not be possible because of the 21 days notice to be given to INEC. Today is about 24 days to then. I don't think we'll be able to do the data and get to INEC before Friday, which makes it exactly 21 days. So we're looking at maybe 12th or 19th, but it will hold in February, and the problems will overcome.
No cause for alarm, as you said. But then many know that, it's more like a piece in the graveyard, as he said, because going back and forth, and I mean, as it is, not as he said actually, because, what he's trying to tell Nigerians is that there is no cause for alarm. But Nigerians know that there are issues in the party. The going back and forth with regards to the date, the February timeline, which some say might not be realistic, going by the strong interest, that wants it postponed. And here we are with some of you, particularly Mr. Soni, is telling us that there's no cause for that. In your own, but in your own perspective, how do you think, is that easy to have this convention with all of this crisis, rocking the party at the moment?
Thank you very much. When you're talking about crisis in the party, you are defining it another way, that a political party should be crisis-free, but it's not. And there's no crisis in the APC, as far as I'm concerned. It's just a matter of interest, and I believe that the interest will be harmonized and the right will be done. When you trace back to the history of formation of the party, he told you a lot of things and the gimmicks that were happening at that time. In fact, even at the convention ground, some people were agree. But at the end of the day, the real thing has been done, and the party was formed, and the party uprooted the government in power. You should know that the party is well structured in a way that it's ready for any battle. And Nigerians should believe that this is normal in a political system that comes together in just a short period of time, uproot the government, enter to the system where the system is rotting, and they believe that they want to strengthen it. And we're strengthening it. Now, on our own issue, thinking that the party is in crisis, it's just normal when it comes to matter of electioneering campaigns.
You say normal?
Yes.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who happens to be, the overall party leader, if I should put it that way, at the moment he held sway, as the president of Nigeria, who has emerged, from the APC. And he's also raising concerns with regards to the crisis within the party. And he said, if the party failed to address these issues, there's a likelihood it may even lose the chance of retaining power. So you think it appears you're downplaying the challenges.
No. The president is trying to waken all the party members up to the challenges that we're going to resolve at the due course. And we're already doing that. Because last weeks and some weeks back, you can see the apprehension in the party. But now you can see things are downsing, a lot of things are even coming up, not related to the party structure. And what my co-contestant have said, that we're optimistic that the convention is going to hold in February. And what is important is to have a party structure on the board. And we're going to do it. We know how to do it. That is how progressive people are. We must tell Nigerians that we are capable and we have capacity to harmonize our differences. And that is what the president said, that it's just to raise alarm, waking us up from our slumbers, and that we wake up. And we're doing it now.
Well, we'll come back to that, because, as we speak now, some 12 states, under the APC are in crisis, as a follow-up, as a fallout of the congresses, that took place. We're talking about parallel congresses, party, inter-party wranglings and what have you. That is the essence of the reconciliatory committee that is going on at the moment. Well, we'll come back to that. But then, looking at the party itself, it's a party that came, that promised Nigerians change. And part of that change was to also change itself, or change the political landscape, looking at how politics is done, returning the days of internal party democracy, which is fundamental. But today, this is a political party that is battling to get its acts together. Isn't this, shouldn't this worry some of you foundation members?
Personally, I'm not worried. Like you rightly pointed out, I was one of the foundation members. I was there from the beginning. I was chairman of the ACN, one of the legacy parties in the FCT that merged with the APC. Now, if you call what the APC has done having crisis, then I wonder what would be by the time we are stabilized, because we inherited a mess. Nobody knew the kind of rot in this country by the time we came on board in 2015. Nobody knew how rotten it was. I'm sure even journalists didn't know how terribly bad the country was. We came on board shortly after the Delta Avengers started bombing. Price of crude dropped from close to $100 per barrel to about $22 per barrel. We went into recession. We pulled out in no time. In no time we pulled out. And the president said one thing that has not been done in the annals of Nigerian history. He said, ministers, don't go and start new projects in your ministries. Continue with what you meet on ground. Which is why we don't have those white elephant abandoned projects in Nigeria. And going from that, we have achieved a lot in terms of infrastructure, in terms of even the security. Then we have achieved a lot. Now, it was what Buhari did that made us have the railway almost 50% back on stream across Nigeria. In the past, we didn't have the second Niger bridge, in spite of about 15 billion naira that was paid to consultants. 15 or 45 billion that was paid to consultants without a block on ground. Today, the second Niger bridge will be commissioned this year. Ajakuta Steel was taken over when PDP took over in 1999. They were 95% completed. 95%. They went down to zero. Ikotabasi, aluminium smelter company, was sold off. I can go on and on. Up with the $1 trillion above that the PDP got in 16 years, they did not start and finish one single project. Now, if you call the party that was able to solve or get such a country working in spite of all this mess, if you say we have a problem,
well, you're not expected to come and meet a clean slate, kind of arrangement.
Not the kind of
the essence is for you to come and clean the mess, as you say.
Yes,
and perhaps that's why you promised Nigerians change.
Yes.
And you talked about, the massive infrastructure and what have you, the transformation that went into it. But Nigerians are also looking at the cost. It came, at a very, very heavy cost.
Like
We're
what?
talking about almost 50 trillion naira debt, that has been incurred by the present administration.
Okay.
We're talking about an economy that is nosediving, in the areas of inflation, high inflation, devaluation of the naira, and so on and so forth. Rising in unemployment, and yet, it is under this administration that Nigeria has earned a title called, poverty capital of the world. With all of this you're talking about, let me get your perspective.
No, after I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just a minute. A minute. Now, America and about 9-10 other countries are the most indebted countries in the world. There's nothing wrong in borrowing money. The essence is if you utilize it properly for what you borrowed it, and then you are willing to pay. The president had made payment arrangements already. So as long as the APC is there, payments will be paid as at when due. Now the people who are making this call about borrowing and co are the people who borrowed and embezzled the money. Now the money is being borrowed and used effectively. Today the railway, the last time, I remember Wale Soyinka, one of the highest critics of the president, took a train from Lagos to Oda. He was singing praise to high heavens. Ibadan to Lagos to Ibadan. Has been done. So it's not a matter of borrowing. If you borrow and you use it effectively, nothing wrong, and you're willing to pay back. And they're talking about the poverty capital. You see, unfortunately for the APC, I normally ask journalists when I meet them, when they make such comments, I ask them, where were they when this country was being run aground in the past? They kept quiet. I speak from experience because I was all over the
do
media
journalists
houses.
keep quiet?
Many.
I think journalists do not
They
keep
did
quiet
not.
at the
They
time
did not.
it matters, and they hold every government
They did
responsible
not.
and accountable.
I was the chairman of the ACN in the FCT, going for a program. I'll be asked to get a PDP man to come and help them. I said, I can get them. You can't even see them. They never used to speak about it.
Hello and welcome to Daily Politics, reaching you from Trust TV here in Abuja. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. My name is Suleiman. Today, we are looking at women participation in the 2023 political process. Before Chief Bola Tinubu officially announced his intention to contest for the presidency next year, a certain 33-year-old woman beat him to it. The aspirant, Khadija Okunu Lamidi, last week told reporters in Lagos that, in quote, "I seek to change the direction of our country because time and chance will happen to all of us and the time for action is now." She was talking about standing for president in next year's elections. In the coming days, more declarations will follow those of Tinubu and others. Many of them are expected to be women like Khadija Okunu Lamidi. Just like in 2019, candidates like Eunice Atuejide, Obiekwesili, Remio Sonaya, Umma Getso, Khadija Abdullahi Iya, among many others, were on the race for the presidency either as flag bearers or as running mates. But so far, all the speculations and permutations have been on only the men. So we ask, where are the women? Will they consolidate the experience of 2019? Are we going to have a woman president, or indeed, Madam President, in 2023? Joining me on the program today is a woman who knows all about a presidential race. She has been there and done it. Hajia Umma Getso was the running mate to the presidential candidate of the Young Progressive Party, the YPP. Of course, that's in the 2019 presidential elections. Also with me is Mr. Salahuddin Hashim, who is the Program Officer, Democratic Governance at Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC in Abuja. He is also a well-known public affairs analyst. Welcome to Daily Politics.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
But before we continue, we'll just take 1 minute and we'll be back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Daily Politics. And today we're discussing the very possibility of a woman, not just as presidential candidate, but also as president of Nigeria in 2023. After all, there are just two sets of Nigerians, men and women. Thank you. So let me start straight with you, Hajia Umar. In 2019, we have several women who, appeared on the political scene as running mates to many flag bearers. Yourself, you were one of them. Are we looking at something bigger in 2023?
Thank you very much, Suleiman. I must say, definitely there's going to be an improvement because I used to tell people 2019 is not about losing or winning, it's all about being part of the game. Okay. And us appearing 2019 is a game changer for Nigerian women because I'm very sure if there will be a proper statistic that will be taken, you will see that number of women that are now in the political space is far more different. And the second thing is those days there's a kind of interpretation that it's only some certain caliber of women that are found in the political environment. But God's so kind, people like myself that have been a mother all my life, I've been a wife all my life, our own appearance in the political terrain made it a kind of easier for women like us to come forward. And I'm telling you, 2023 is going to be a very, very different game. I know a lot of women that have been empowered.
So what's going to be different?
There'll be a lot of women.
Beyond the number.
There'll be a lot of women coming forward. And we need people to believe in what we're doing. And faces like you mentioned, Eunice and others, will definitely even give women that are having the capacity, because those days people don't even consider seeing women, but now I've seen it on social media and a lot of places, faces like Amina Mohammed, and a lot of strong, even her own self, the what I say, I forgot her name. Okonjo-Iweala, God bless you. I saw all their faces now on social media coming forward. People are now looking at them as options. Okay. And definitely, I'm telling you, if a woman will be given chance, definitely it's going to be a different one, because we can see other women like in Ethiopia and other countries. Women are definitely doing better than the men. So I know 2019 is a start. Yes.
For Nigeria will come there.
Yes.
We'll be right back.
It's a good one.
So to come down to reality, by Mr. Salahuddin, you have worked around, on issues of women, promoting women participation. Women, they make up half of the electorate.
Yep.
But just about 10-15%, 10 to 15% of candidates in political offices, and even less so of people who are actually holding public office, either appointed or elected. Where do we lose, the remaining 50%? Because they are 50% of the, where is the gap created?
All right, thank you very much. I think women have the right to vote and to be voted for. And if that is established, it suggests that they also have played very significant role, just like Haja Umar had earlier mentioned, in our political process. So the revolution of our political space cannot be complete without mentioning specific revolutionaries, who contributed very strongly in that particular direction. And if you look at the statistics that is presented to us, it suggests very clearly where we lost it. One is with our social constructs. There is this social construct that suggests that women are less qualified to particularly lead in some executive roles. Two, there are cultural connections, that suggest that there are certain decisions and courage that shouldn't be so. But my point is that if we have seen clearly the very enormous contribution, go to polling units, go to any political, you will see that even rallies, campaigns, political parties, in fact, women make the majority of it, very overwhelming. Then my point is that why then does the society now ostracize them when it comes to giving them the benefits of reaping the fruits of their labor? So, and I think that is actually a major challenge. 5.6% in the Senate, 6.5% in the Parliament, and if you check the elective, executive, legislative, and the local, you will realize that there is a thorough underrepresentation, and it speaks to one thing: patriarchal practice, in our elective process has brought us thus far. The question is, where has that patriarchal nature?
But how can it be patriarchal practice when they actually come out to vote? Because that's what you see. You see, when you see clips of voting queues across the country, you find, well, in some places you're likely to have men here, women here, but in other places you just have one queue. But either way, you see quite a lot of women on the queue. That's participation.
Yeah.
So if there is no patriarchy in preventing people from participating to go and vote, how can there be patriarchy in preventing them from standing? Since you have
Sorry, before I answer your question, I want to correct you when you said women are not qualified. There are a lot of qualified women out there, but there's something. Let me come back to your question. This game, as he mentioned, and all over the world, we all know that if at all today Hillary Clinton, due to some strings that are holding the woman back, she's not allowed to get there. What of women like us that we just started few years ago? Politics, apart from Gambaso Waba, especially in Nigeria, and people like Leila Dogonyaro and very few others. And even if you count their journey so far, it's still not even up to 30 years, I think, or 40 years. So what we all need is a starting point, which we've already laid that ground by the grace of God. And maybe, as I told you earlier, there will be a kind of populating the whole system. When that trust, electing somebody is all about trusting that person for you to know he has the capability. So all we need, we've already started, and we are now on the journey to where we're heading to. And we're now creating more awareness. We always need those women that are not voting for other women. It's not anything.
Are you
it's
saying
because
that the problem is starting late rather than the cultural constructs that
a lot of things. If I start listening them, we're going to sleep here. There are a lot of factors that used to hold women back. There are natural causes, not even the cultural. There are even natural causes that a woman needs to double, multitask to be a woman and to be out there giving her own maximum. We are well qualified. We have the strength, but all we need is like somebody to lead us.
Okay.
And there are a lot of women now out there to lead others. And I'm telling you now, Nigeria can be a kind of, let me say, trend breaker. The trend will definitely happen. It can still happen. It can definitely happen in Nigeria to see a woman as a Nigeria might be the first nation that will have a kind of female president. It's definitely possible because I've already started. And I'm telling you, those days, there are some years I know that I cannot stand in front of fellow women or even Nigerians to say I am a politician. But now a lot of women are proud to do it and they're supporting people like us.
Good. So but the way she's putting it, it appears that there's not much stigma in being known as a female politician.
Absolutely.
So if that is the case, where is the ostracization?
Yeah, the issue of...
Isn't that the factors more structural than cultural?
Yeah, absolutely. The issue of qualification is actually a social construct, which is not the opinion. I'm just trying to air what people's perception out there suggests. First of all, I think even within political parties, we have not seen some kind of, like we saw some deliberate efforts in 2019, where some parties say, look, for every women contestants, they will provide 0 tickets if in terms of fee, free tickets, forms, nomination forms for you to do that. That is some kind of deliberate effort to get that done. Between 2019 and 2023, I tell you a number of things that would happen. One is that there will be economic crunch that has actually deepened women participation the more. It would actually ostracize women even much more than what we saw in 2019, because women are less empowered. The economic crunch and the meltdown has affected them the most, because they are the worst affected when there is challenge, economic setback. They are the ones who bear the brunt. She mentioned the issue of natural construct. There are certain things. I mean, I actually give courage to a lot of men who support their wives, to actually vie for politics. Because the patriarchal practice that we talk about, that even political meetings are held in the middle of the night. You discover that you need to have some level of confidence and trust.
Political interviews. Like
absolutely. So you discover that for you to be relevant, for you to be vibrant, for you to be visible, you need to be able to actually take on some patriarchal practice as a woman also, because there are certain things that is not socially known with our women, and of course it is so. But we must not allow those social setbacks to actually affect the kind of visibility that women want to take. Then secondly, the national gender policy say that look, 35% women affirmative action, but of course I have not also seen to say that look, whether in terms of elective or appointive roles, that we have also responded to that, and that was actually 5% above the Beijing declaration, which means that as a national government, we actually saw beyond the 30% that the Beijing had actually recommended and said, look, we want 35%, but there is no deliberate will.
So this brings us almost to the end of the program, and so you'll be having the last say as we started. So if some people have said that, I mean, this woman, Margaret Thatcher, she said that if you wanted to say something, get a man to say it. But if you wanted to do something, get a woman to do something. But then later on, people said, oh no, even when women are leaders, they tend to follow their social class, their party ideology, rather than their agenda. That if you are a Republican and you are a woman, you will govern like any other male Republican president. So if you are a PDP, you will just do what people in PDP do, regardless of whether you are a man or woman. How would this idea change the situation for Nigeria? Do you think it will be the same?
I think it will, to be honest, because if you look at, like you already acknowledged, they are very fantastic managers. I mean, she said so. Women are fantastic managers. And if they are managers and you make her a leader in a country, she will first of all attempt to make sure that the issue of livelihood is taken care of.
But there are corruption cases where, right here in Nigeria, women are mentioned just as much as men.
Absolutely. I mean, those are, if you now do the statistics, you will realize that there are men. Although if you say that the one she took took over 1,000 men, I can agree with you. Okay. Maybe it is because when they manage something, they manage it well. Okay. So when they also manage corruption, they also manage corruption. They also manage it very well. So
all the more reason we should be afraid, isn't it?
So, but I think also that if you have a forward-looking woman, okay, because to be honest, it would be an hyperbole to say that every woman would be like Designating. But if you have a woman who transfers the knowledge of home administration, okay, that understand the issue of livelihood, if you deal with the issue of livelihood and socio-economic interest of the youth, there will be some level of de-escalation in insecurity in the country. And she deals with the issue of education. We know that if you educate more people, there will be a lot of de-escalation in the situation that we are talking about. The issue of child mortality, the issue of access, to medical facility. She will understand that every woman who is pregnant should be able to access a primary health care center. Government presence in most of this locality and the absence is what has escalated the issue of patriotism to be absent. There is no patriotism at local level. So a man wielding gun, somebody sees him as a model. So he decides to join him. Okay, because there is no government presence. If you check a statistic of a research I did in Enugu and in Lokoja, in Kogi State, you will realize that what has made a difference to have de-escalated the issue of insecurity is because of small economic social safety nets, 5,000, 10,000, to some group of, just like what Zulum is doing in Borno, to Boko Deb. And that is the reason why the issue of insecurity has de-escalated. Because if you catch a bandit today and you ask him how much has he gotten from those things, they will tell him that they give him 5,000 or 10,000. The people who eat the money are not the ones in the bush. You get my point? So if you take that guy and you give him socioeconomic impetus, social safety nets, and the same 5,000 that the criminal will give him, the same 5,000 that government will give to him, he will rather come to become to show patriotism.
Because he wouldn't have to run away.
He won't have to run. He won't have to run. He won't have to die. He will be able to at least plan his life around that and actually move on.
I wish we have more time to go on and on because the discussion has been quite interesting. But unfortunately, this is where, fortunately as well, this is where we come to we draw the curtain on this program. We hope to bring you another edition of Daily Politics tomorrow. Please be with us. Thank you very much, Hajia Umagezo, and thank you, Mr. Salahuddin Hashim.
Thank you very much
for being here with us. We hope to have you two either on the same day or on different days with us once again. And thank you, viewer, for staying with us. Please do join us once again tomorrow when we bring you another edition of Daily Politics. See you.